Hello and welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave. Now about a week ago, when the year 2017 first rolled around, everybody was talking about what their best and worst high grades of the year were. Now I didn't do a video on that because I had actually only built a couple high grades, or really any kits, that were actually released in 2016. So, instead of talking about the best and worst kits of 2016, I'm going to be talking about every single kit I've built in 2016, regardless of its original release date, and I'm going to rank them all from worst to best. So we're going to start at the bottom with number 13. And the honor of being on the absolute bottom of this list goes to the high-grade Universal Century Rebawu. This was a premium Bandai model that was released quite a few years ago, and I did finally get my hands on one after searching for it for a very long time, and it was pretty disappointing. For starters, this is based off the HGUC Bawu mold from right around 2001-2002, so you can tell just from that this is not going to be a fun kit. Seam lines everywhere, pretty much no surface detail, articulation is very minimal. A lot of the design choices in the construction are really weird and kind of sacrifice the structural durability of the kit. And then there's the newly molded parts. There is a lot of new tooling for this kit. I will give Bandai credit for that. They put a lot of work into making a bunch of new tooling for this kit. However, what they did was they made one single runner with half the parts on it and just gave you two of them, which means every single piece is symmetrical. So on pieces like the thrusters here on the back, that have a left and a right, you look at the outside of them, and you can see this big wall socket looking connector. That's where it's plugged into the backpack on the other side, and because both pieces are the exact same piece, you have these big ugly connectors on the outside, and they look super freaking ugly. And then you have to take off these little connectors to transform it and put them somewhere else and put something else here, and it's just a big old parts forming mess just to get this thing to transform. And that's not fun to do. And the weapons themselves are pretty cool, but those are just ripped from the Sinanju, so they don't even really count towards the Rebawu. Oh, and then there's two more things, because I'm not done yet. First of all, there's the stickers. There's a lot of foil stickers on this guy. To their credit, they do stick on fairly well, but the problem comes from the fact that a lot of them do have sculpted detail underneath, like these ones for example, so okay, you could go over that with a little paintbrush, you know, paint in the white parts, that's totally feasible. No sculpting underneath this, no sculpting underneath this. So if you do want to try and go the route of painting in all the white areas on this, you're gonna have a hard time. And the final and arguably smallest problem I have with this kit is there's just so much crap hanging out down here on the legs that when you're trying to pose them, it's just a pain to get his legs to do everything because he got all these spikes and twisty things and bendy things and joints to keep track of. And getting this guy's legs into any kind of interesting pose is just a pain, and everything's knocking into everything else, and he's just not fun to pose. He doesn't necessarily look good since he has like no surface detail anywhere on him. On top of all that, this is like a $50 premium Bandai kit. Yeah, it was only 20 something if you get it directly from the premium Bandai web shop, but most people can't get it directly from the premium Bandai web shop, which means you're going to be paying around $40 to $50 on eBay or Amazon or your secondary market vendor of choice. So that is why the Rebawu is at the very bottom of this list. Now number 12 is the SDEX standard Destiny Gundam. Now you might be thinking right now, whoa, wait a minute, this is an X standard, it's a terrible kit, why isn't this at the bottom? Well, the answer to that can actually be pretty simple. This is a 500 yen kit, the other one's a $50 kit. That's a big price gap. With a 500 yen kit, I'm not going to be completely annoyed if half the kit is stickers. I'm going to expect half the kit to be stickers. Yeah, there's definitely some better kits out there you can get for the money, such as the BB Senshi version of the Destiny that includes a ton of awesome looking effect parts, but for what this is, for how much you pay for it, you could do a whole lot worse than the EX standard Destiny Gundam. At number 11 is the high-grade Psycho ZAKU 2 High Mobility Type Psycho ZAKU Gundam Thunderbolt version animation/OVA colors. This kit is a design I've always liked, but the way they execute the kit, it's not bad. They did as much as they could pretty much for the design. It's just not really fun because you can't do anything with it. You just set it down, it's standing there, you can move the arms a bit. However, on top of that, you have a bunch of really ugly looking stickers that go all over the whole freaking thing. And then there's the armatures in the backpack here. These are solid plastic. and they can't hold one of the few weapons he actually held with them in the OVA, which really bugs me. And you also probably have noticed by this point that I am showing you the box of the kit instead of the actual kit. That's because the actual kit itself is piled into the back corner of a shelf somewhere. I don't feel like dragging it out for this video. I was just really not that fond of this kit. It's not a terrible kit, but it was just so mediocre to the point where I just kind of began to hate it. Number 10 is another premium Bandai model, the HGUC Zeta 2 Travis Kirkland Colors. Now this kit right here, as a base kit, isn't actually that bad. It's actually got a pretty interesting, pretty unique design. There's not a lot of other Gundams that look like this. Even though it is kind of based off the Roselle, it still has some unique elements, like those pretty funky looking feet. And the color scheme they chose for it, well, not quite what I was hoping for. I was kind of expecting to be more of a black color than a dark gray, is not that bad. What absolutely destroyed any and all liking I had of this kit, though, was those awful, awful stickers. They just would not hold on, they would not stick down. I'd recommend going back and watching the final part of the build log for this kit just so you can understand how truly miserable the experience was. And I did leave a few of them on, just because I thought, okay, these ones aren't peeling off immediately. They might actually stay on okay. Well, as soon as I pulled this guy out to put him in the light box right here, I noticed that sure enough, one of the final stickers that I decided to actually leave on him was finally beginning to peel off. But in all seriousness, the Zeta 2 is actually not a bad high-grade kit, so if you want something funky, a little something unique and interesting to spice up your collection, the standard retail release is not a bad kit. I just wouldn't recommend paying a premium for this particular version. Coming in at number 9 is the only master grade model I built all year, the Zeta Gundam 2.0. Now this kit, I just wasn't really a fan of. To its credit, it does pull off the Zeta Gundam's transformation perfectly. I don't think we could ever get another kit that transforms as well as this, but it does have its problems. First of all, it's just a really minor one. I like master grades that have lots of detail on them, and this guy has pretty much none. If you go all the way down here, head to toe, it's pretty much just flat panels with a couple sparse panel lines here and there. Really nothing even worth lining. Kinda disappointing. A bigger issue for me was the way the hips were designed. On smaller high-grade kits, hips are often just a couple pieces of plastic, couple little polystyrene clamshells, clamped over a Type 1 polycap, stuck over a peg. That way you get a kind of universal joint. Problem is, the Zeta Gundam 2.0 uses a slightly different kind of polycaps that are very tight and very grippy and attach very firmly to the hip joint. And the problem with that is that now, when you rotate the hip, the little clamshell of styrene that's holding together the polycap, instead of rotating with the polycap, tends to just spread apart and grind around the polycap, which could, of course, over time wear down the polycap. I could definitely see that breaking the polystyrene parts, and just the fact that the joint basically pulls and works itself apart in a very similar fashion to the wing joints on the real grade Destiny Gundam. That just doesn't sit right with me, especially since this is such a big, kind of heavy model. I don't like that. And also his hands aren't really that great, and he basically cannot hold his Hyper Mega Launcher at all, especially not from the side handles because there's no pegs sculpted into them for him to hold on to, so you just have to rely on the strength of his fingers, which don't have a lot of strength in them. So yeah, this guy was just strike after strike after strike, and if I wasn't such a big fan of the Zeta Gundam, he'd honestly be much lower on this list. Number 8 on this list is another model from Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, the high-grade Universal Century QUBELEY Revived version. Now this kit is actually a pretty darn good representation of the QUBELEY. It has great color separation, it uses minimal stickers, and the articulation is actually not that bad considering how bulky the kit is. The reason I gave this kit such a low score, though, is because it's just a little bit too heavy for its own good. Every single piece of this mobile suit is pretty darn big, and it uses the standard high-grade polycaps, and while nothing is necessarily loose, there's enough weight hanging off of each joint to make it move a little more freely than I'd like, and it definitely makes posing a pain, as when you're trying to move one thing, everything else will kind of move out of place. You try to move those things, they cause more things to move. And that's also why I didn't get this guy down off the shelf to bring him in here, because I didn't feel like reposing him and fiddling around with him. He's just not a fun kit to mess with. It does look kind of cool, I will admit, and it's really not that bad a kit. And actually, I will mention, pretty much from this point onwards, these aren't really bad kits. They're just kits that had elements that annoyed me slightly. So if you are actually interested in picking up some of these kits, they aren't necessarily bad choices, they just had elements to them I wasn't personally fond of. And next on the list at number 7 is the Super Deformed BB Senshi Wing Gundam EW version / Verka, depending on what you want to call it. And this is another SD Gundam kit, and this is probably one of the best SD Gundam kits I've ever seen. It has fantastic color separation. Yeah, there's some stickers like the ones here, which come around to the back. There's some red ones on the wings, there's some blue ones on the wings. But most of this is colored plastic, and it looks really good. It has some great functionality, it has some fun gimmicks. Really the only reason it's this low on the list is because the head likes to pop off and also the torso likes to pop apart. And it's just a very minor issue, and I still recommend this kit. It's just at this point in the list I do have to be a lot more critical because there's so many kits here that I actually really do like that it's hard to choose which one should go up higher. So I'm basically just going by whatever little nitpicky things I can find to make an excuse to put them lower on the list. At number 6, we have the only Iron-Blooded Orphans kit you'll be seeing on this list, the high-grade HGUC. Now I've actually warmed up to this kit a little bit since I shot the review for it. Yeah, it still has some major problems. It has a lot of stickers over it, quite a few more than it needs. And the accessory loadout on it is super bare bones, but it is a really cool, really fun, really creative design. It's a pretty cheap kit, and it actually has some really nice details sculpted into it. So as a result, it almost breaks into the top 5, but not quite. Just squeezing into the number 5 spot, we have the high-grade Universal Century GM3. Now this kit is nothing special, it's nothing flashy, it's nothing fancy, it's just a basic, regular old Federation grunt suit. It's a standard GM, but it does have some really cool accessories, and I just had an absolute, just really fun time building this kit. It's fun to pose, it's fun to mess around with, it makes a great little desk figure to just keep on your desk and just keep you company as you're working. It's a fun little figure. It's a grunt, but it's kind of an expressive grunt, and it has a nice, interesting, unique look to it among the GMs. And in general, I really enjoy building the HGUC GM kits, so all in all, this kit gets a pretty solid thumbs up from me. Coming in at number 4 is the high-grade 00 Gundam Dynames. This is a kit I've wanted for a long time. I've always loved Dynames, I've always loved Lock-on Stratos, loved 00. Awesome Gundam, awesome pilot, awesome show. Finally had a chance to build the high grade and replace that absolutely awful HCM Pro figurine I had of the kit. And it was awesome. It really was. By all objective evidence that can be seen of this kit, it should be terrible. The articulation's really not that great. It uses a lot of stickers, but I just can't hate it. I kind of love this kit. It's got some cool detail on it. It's a really fun kit. And like with every other 00 kit I've built, it was an absolute blast to put together. Every single kit from 00 has been like that for me. Even the Reborn's Gundam. I hated the Reborn's Gundam. Did not like the final product at all. But the build on that was super fun, and the build on this was super fun. I just love building pretty much all the high-grade 00 kits I've built. And I probably will love them into the future, which is why I've actually got another one of them coming pretty soon. You'll be seeing that in a few videos down the line, so you got that to look forward to. But anyway, back to the Dynames. Yeah, it's got its cons, the articulation's not that great, and it does have a lot of stickers, but the stickers actually hold on pretty well. And in general, it's actually a really cool, really fun kit that I do actually recommend to fans of Gundam 00. Coming in very high at number 3, we have the high-grade Universal Century High New Gundam. Now this is a kit I first saw when it came out. Loved it, wanted to have it. You guys know the story. I've told you several times. I finally got a hold of one, and it was worth the wait. It's a great kit. The color separation is awesome. It's got lots of detail, lots of different colors that are used in the kit. Yeah, there's still some painting you need to do on it, but overall, it's just a really fun, really cool kit that is a little bit back heavy. But other than that, it's pretty fun to pose. It's pretty awesome to look at, and it's just overall a kit that I really do recommend, even if it is a little bit on the old side. And now we're almost at the top of the list, but just before we get to the top, just barely making it number 2, almost put it at number 1, but there was just one kit that I did enjoy more than this one, even if it was only by a little bit. But right now, we're looking at number 2, and that is the Reborn 100 Bawu. Now, I literally just talked about this kit, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm just going to say it's an awesome kit, it looks great, you should get it no matter what kind of Gunpla collector you are. So now finally, at number 1, the one kit I built that I enjoyed more than the Reborn 100 Bawu, I had to think long and hard about it. I was going to put it at number 2, and then I thought, no, you know what? I really did love this kit. It was an awesome build. It had an awesome, great looking end result, and that is the high-grade The Origin CHAR'S ZAKU 2, the absolute number 1 kit I built all year. Now this was actually only the second or third kit that I built in 2016, but it just blew me away. It's an absolutely incredible mold. It's got master grade style engineering for some of the joints, which means it has pretty much perfect articulation. The level of detail on it is absolutely phenomenal. Everything from this gun all the way down to the legs is sculpted with just a perfect level of detail. There's some awesome little mechanical gimmicks in it, like the fact that the legs can actually swing forward, just like on a master grade. The feet have a really cool mechanism in them that makes them kind of auto bend when you press them forward. He's got a moving mono eye. He's got tons of detail. He's got removable ammo packs for his bazooka that store on his shield. That's pretty awesome. There's just nothing, not one single thing about this model kit that I do not like. I strongly recommend this kit and any other Origin kit that uses this mold to any Gunpla builder. It is just that good, and it is my favorite build of 2016. So there you have it, guys. Every single kit I built in 2016 ranked from worst to best. Everything from the high-grade Rebawu to the high-grade The Origin CHAR'S ZAKU 2. There were some great kits, there were some bad kits, and there were a lot of kits that were pretty darn good. But hopefully 2017 is going to be an even cooler Gunpla year. I know I've already got some really awesome kits lined up that I can't wait to show you guys. That'll be coming up soon. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that by clicking the icon on the screen or down below the video or beside the video if you're on mobile. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoy this video. Share it around with your friends. Feel free to watch any of the videos you see in the thumbnails popping up around the screen right now. And I will see you next time.